Fortnite has had good seasons in the past. Fortnite has had bad seasons in the past. Fortnite has had all kinds of seasons. However, there's one season in particular that stands out to me, not because it had a crazy game-breaking glitch or even the fact that it was a good season. It's the fact that it's extremely divisive. There's not a universal consensus around this season. There's not one solid opinion that the majority of the community has. You either absolutely love this season or you hate it with all of your guts. This season also caused one of the biggest civil wars in Fortnite history. It completely split the community down the middle through an effect that is still felt to this day. Of course, that season that I'm talking about is Fortnite Wrecked. When I'm recording this video, it's about 1 week until this season reaches 1 year old. Yippee! Happy birthday to you. Okay, I'm not doing that. But considering that this season is almost a year old, or maybe it is a year old by the time this video comes out, I don't know. I thought it would be fun to take a look back on this season and take a look on how it affected the community, but also, does this season hold up? Is the hate warranted? Is the glaze warranted? Let's find out. Before we get into that though, be sure to like and subscribe. If we hit 20k subscribers by the end of 2025, I'll get a low taper fade. Please just subscribe. You should also use code LilSmurf in the Fortnite item shop. Also follow me on Twitter. That's enough promotion. Let's go. For starters, I think we need to talk about the build up to this season because it was actually a pretty solid build up. Every once in a while, we would get these cool little teasers that would have a new Battle Pass skin that would be revealed, and I gotta say, some of them go insanely hard, especially this T60 Power Armor one, like, oh my god. Not to mention that the post-apocalyptic theme was a theme that was heavily requested by a lot of people in the community, so it was really exciting when Fortnite revealed that they were actually going to be doing something like that. There was also this thing at a monster truck rally where a real-life battle bus was in there and being destroyed by a bunch of monster trucks. That was cool, but little did we know that all of these teasers would be leading up to one of the most divisive times in Fortnite history. So now let's talk about the actual season. When this season launched, there were 3 items that caused controversy, but don't worry, there will be more that come later down the line. But the 3 main items that were causing controversy were Nitro, the Nitro Fists, and of course, the cars. The Nitro Fists were honestly just a really annoying, spammy item where you would punch people with the fists or you could use them to fly around. Now that on its own isn't really a problem, but it did insane damage, especially to builds, and so did Nitro. Basically what Nitro would do was give you a speed boost, infinite sprint, and then you could run into people's builds. Can you see why this is kind of a problem? And then the cars were basically unkillable machines. These things had insane amounts of health. They had turrets on top of them, crazy tires. They would have like turrets in front and you could shoot at other people and it would be able to run through builds. Some of them could be infused with Nitro where it would actually heal your car and speed it up, and that was just a whole nother thing. Basically, a lot of the items in the loot pool were overpowered. As for the guns, we got the unvault of the combat assault rifle and the combat shotgun. I really liked both of these guns. I thought they were pretty fun to use. The map was also really good. I love the designs of the Nitrodrome, especially just the idea of like a stadium POI that you can just drive directly through, but if you choose to stay in there, there's just so much stuff for you to do there for such a small POI. I absolutely loved it, and the other POIs were pretty good too. Now let's talk about the actual controversy of the season, which was basically all the broken stuff. This caused an insane debate, mainly between what a lot of people like to call it casuals and competitive. The competitive side argued that this stuff was way too broken to be in Fortnite and at the very least should be taken out of ranked. While casual players argued that this is what Fortnite is, and since it's different, it's really fun to do, and also Fortnite should keep doing stuff like this and sweats can't just adapt. I definitely think both sides are warranted in their criticisms here. However, I'll give my takes at the very end of the video because I want to talk about the rest of the updates for the season. First off, we got a little mini Fallout update that added the Nuka-Cola and a little laser rifle from Fallout, which I thought was really cool, especially the Nuka-Cola. I think it was a really cool healing item, and I wish Fortnite would bring it back in some way. The laser rifle was alright. It wasn't anything crazy, but it wasn't bad either. It was just kind of there. In the next update, the band Metallica became the next festival artist, but it wasn't just an update for festival, it also came with some stuff in Battle Royale. It gave a mini Metallica loot island that you could get some stuff from, and you would claim it faster if you danced, which I thought was really cool. And it also came with a Ride the Lightning mythic, which was basically this guitar that you could use to shoot some lightning up in the air and then just zip around for a couple seconds and then come crashing down. In between some of these updates, there was also a lot of stuff trying to nerf some of the mythics and the cars, and mainly that just came down to nerfing the damage done, nerfing the health, adding a couple items to the loot pool like boogie bombs and shield breakers. Then there was an update that added the Magneto gauntlets, which, oh boy, this was another extremely broken item that got added. Basically, what would happen is you would get these little metal gloves that you could use to use some Magneto powers, where you could throw just hunks of metal at your opponents. Now, these were cool for countering cars, however, they were also really good in actual fights. Like, really, really good. As far as I can find, these Magneto gloves never got any nerfs, which was kinda crazy considering how fast you could throw these things and how much damage they would do. It was absolutely insane. And then, one of the final updates of the season was the Pirates of the Caribbean collab, which added this little mini POI in the middle of the map, where it was basically a dried out lake with a little pirate ship. They also added a ship in a bottle item, which you could use to spawn in a pirate ship that really was just kind of okay. It wasn't broken, it wasn't crazy or anything. Like I said, it was just kind of there. With that being said, those are all the updates that happened that season. So now let's just talk about the community, because that's the main meat and potatoes of this whole situation. Twitter was an absolute nightmare this season. You had one side of people that would absolutely glaze this season, lick its toes, and just completely glaze it to the end of time. And then there were some people who would call this the worst season of all time. Terrible, horrible, it's just a disgrace to gaming. Now, what are my thoughts on the season? I thought it was alright. I think originally I had some of the most fun on Fortnite that I had had in years, but then after the nerfs, the season just became a season for me. The cars were still powerful, but it missed that sort of chaotic nature that first week of the season had. And then when they added stuff like the Magneto gloves that were just insanely overpowered, it just made me think that, like, they completely nerfed the cars and the nitro and all the fists and all of this stuff, but then kept the Magneto gloves and made that extremely overpowered. But it just made no sense to me, because why would you make one thing overpowered but then nerf everything else? However, I can completely understand where the competitive side is coming from. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, sweats just ruin the game, but it's not really the case. They have different things that they want for the game compared to casual players, and that's perfectly valid for them. You know, you are allowed to like whatever you want, and I feel like that's great that so many people want so many different things for this game. It opens up a bunch of different interesting conversations that we can have. However, a lot of people did not want to have those conversations. There were just constant brain dead terms being thrown around like adapt, sweat, new gen, casual player, a bunch of other stuff. It was just constant back and forth of people just saying, you should just adapt, or the competitive side saying, you don't enjoy true Fortnite, or something like that. It was always just the most brain dead arguments that you could imagine. This isn't just something like a new gun. This is something that completely changes up the gameplay. But you know what? I feel like one major change could have completely changed the way that this season goes, and that's just removing the cars and the fists and the nitro and all of this stuff out of ranked. Competitive players are going to play ranked and tournaments. That's just the way it goes. The average casual player is mainly just going to be playing pubs. And if you want to go over to ranked and say like, oh, sometimes I play ranked, so I should be allowed to play with all the cars and the broken stuff. No. If you're going into ranked, you should expect that you're playing a competitive experience. Just pure gunplay and building and just whatever. I've seen a lot of people say that modern Fortnite items aren't overpowered enough, or they aren't powerful enough. They just feel like a bunch of underpowered stuff, but I don't think that's the case. And I think Wrecked is the fault of that. In Wrecked, everything was so unbelievably broken that that's what Fortnite players got used to. And so when anything is less powerful than the stuff in Wrecked, people just complain that it's not overpowered enough, or that, oh, this is just underpowered. I can't instantly kill someone in 3 seconds, so this is underpowered. I've also seen a lot of people say that Fortnite isn't shaking up the meta enough because of how poorly received Wrecked was, but I don't think that's the case, because Fortnite has been still shaking up the meta a lot. I mean, take a look at this season. They completely replaced the meta with just blasters. Ammo is completely removed. They added these crazy spaceships. Hell, in this update that they're gonna add soon, they're going to add a Star Destroyer that's going to rain down on the map, and it's just going to completely decimate the map. All of this stuff that Fortnite has been adding, and not just this season, but in the past, like, 5 seasons, they have been doing stuff that has been shaking up the meta. I don't really think that Fortnite is holding back because of how poorly received Wrecked was. But yeah, originally I gave this season a 9.5 out of 10. I don't know what kind of crack I was smoking back then, but low-key I want some now. I'm kind of going through it. But anyway, the more I look back on this season, I think I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. I enjoyed this season. I had fun with it. I think it's overhated in some departments, but at the same time, I think the hate is completely warranted. And I think the glaze is completely warranted. There were good things about this season. There were bad things about this season. There's good and bad in every season, but I feel like in this season specifically, the good and the bad were at the absolute extremes. But yeah, tell me down in the comments what you think of this season. Do you love it or hate it? Let me know. I love reading your guys' comments. Use code LilSmurf in the Fortnite item shop if you're planning on picking up any sort of skin or maybe a new battle pass in the future. Use my code. I'm pretty awesome. Follow me on Twitter. That's all I really wanted to say. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Feel good. Feel good. Feel good.